Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is a privilege and a great pleasure to join you for this sharing of expertise and discussion today. I want to talk about an issue which for a very long time was very much a niche topic, but one which nevertheless requires urgent answers from the international community. The topic is climate-related disasters and the humanitarian impacts of climate change as a multiplier of existing conflicts and challenges. As you know, the climate crisis is already causing radical changes to the world. Extreme weather events are increasing and ecosystems and therefore the natural resources that are the basis of life are being destroyed. Every day, millions of people all over the world are witnessing the destruction of their reality. The climate crisis means desertification, crop failures, increased soil salinity, water scarcity, floods, heat waves, fire like in California. The climate crisis is worsening hunger and poverty, and it is already causing immeasurable losses of safe homes, of community, of cultural heritage, some of it thousands of years old. The number of people displaced as a result of climate-related events has quadrupled since the 70s. According to the Platform on Disaster Displacement, an estimated 25 to 30 million people were displaced by climate-related events between 2008 and 2017. And today more people are internally displaced as a result of environmental disasters such as floods and storms than by violence or conflict. However, conflicts are also increasing in the context of the climate crisis. The climate crisis is a risk multiplier and a driver of conflict. The Lake Chad region, for example, is facing one of the world's worst humanitarian disasters with more than 10 million people urgently needing aid. Here, the climate crisis amplifies existing conflicts and challenges. At the same time, new conflicts are emerging as a result of resource scarcity, such as unequitable access to clean water. Overall, in countries whose economic or political situation impedes their efforts to protect their populations from the impacts of climate change, we are seeing a rise in climate-related distributional conflicts and displacement. The climate crisis, then, is perhaps the greatest humanitarian and peace policy challenge of the 21st century. The climate crisis was on the agenda during the German presidency of the United Nations Security Council, and a conference on this topic took place in Berlin together with the island state of Nauru and other foreign ministers. Putting this topic on the agenda of parliaments all over the world is also the right thing to do. That is precisely what we are attempting to achieve within the Inter-Parliamentary Union, the IPU. At the Assembly in Qatar, I was appointed rapporteur for parliamentary strategies to strengthen peace and security against threats and conflicts resulting from climate-related disasters and their consequences. Part of my remit was to prepare a draft resolution on this topic in collaboration with two other rapporteurs, Mr. Sandit Samarasinghe from Sri Lanka and Mr. Yoro Sow from Senegal. The pre-corona plan was that the resolution would be deliberated and adopted in April 2020 at the Assembly in Geneva, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, it is now postponed. The aim of the resolution is ultimately to raise awareness of the security policy implications of climate change and to make the argument for the nexus between climate change and security policy to be considered in all conflict situations. Protecting the climate and human rights is the main focus. Likewise, equality and equitable structures as key aspects of the solution are addressed in the draft resolution. In all these respects, there is a close alignment to the Paris Agreement and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Other reference points are the Kampala Convention and the Lake Chad Resolution, as well as the data collections of the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center and the 2018 Groundswell study by the World Bank. In this report, the World Bank predicts a scenario in which 140 million people will be displaced by climate change by 2050 in sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia and Latin America alone. Precisely how many people will be forced out of their homes in the context of the climate crisis is ultimately very hard to predict. Nevertheless, the World Bank report also shows that around 80% of the displacement can be avoided with ambitious mitigation and adaptation measures. That is why it is, of course, a priority and will remain a priority for now to manage the climate crisis by every possible means and to keep the numbers of people forced out of their homes to a minimum. It is essential to respond to climate risks with preventive and stabilizing climate-specific foreign policies and to make human security a key focus of the security policy debate. Ambitious climate protection, more resilience and far-sighted action that puts people and their needs first are not only a matter of climate justice, they are a prerequisite for a global peace dividend. At the same time, continuously focusing on the knowledge and needs of particularly vulnerable individuals and marginalized groups is key to establishing sustainable, peaceful, and gender-equitable structures within society at a time when the climate is changing. Mitigation and adaptation are an absolute necessity. However, there are also an opportunity to break open existing structures of inequality, for example, in the distribution of power and resources, and thus to achieve more justice, more equitable living conditions, and more equality. The IPU resolution is a chance to share the information and ideas with 179 member parliaments, some of them in countries which are already feeling the security policy consequences of the climate crisis very acutely. This resolution is a great opportunity to give the topic the attention that it deserves and is definitely urgently needed. Thank you so much for making time for this very important discussion, which will not only provide input for the work process within the IPU, but will, I hope, open up new perspectives on this topic for all of us. Thank you so much.